And who are you, sir? Why am I talking to you?
I am Danny Lott of DLO Games, and I am currently a board game reviewer who hopes to be a designer.
Okay. um, Danny just started a new YouTube channel not that long ago, like you said, DLO Games. So what got you started into the hobby?
So I was in college, and I was falling in love with H.P. Lovecraft, as the college kids tend to do. And I kind of Googled it a little bit because I wanted something more immersive than just his writing, which can be a little, not immersive. And so I found out about Richard Lanius's Arkham Horror through Board Games with Scott, one of the first real big board game video blogs. And so I went down to my local game store. They didn't have it. I ordered it online from Fantasy Flight, got Arkham Horror, cracked open this huge, massive, insane box with all of these bits. And my last encounter with a board game had been Magic the Gathering. So I went from, 2.5 by 3.5 cards to this gigantic box full of trillions of things. And my mind was blown. And so I convinced some friends, very begrudgingly, to play the game. And everybody loved it. And their first response was like, man, it's like playing a video game. And so that was it. That's what tapped the vein, man. From there, it was hitting that cardboard crack pipe whenever you can, So from there, it was just a slow trip down to Eldritch Horror, and then Call of Cthulhu: The Living Card Game. And then from there, I learned about non-Cthulhu games, which I didn't realize that existed until 2 years ago. So yeah, that was what started it for me. And then a couple months ago, I had a previous job, and some things happened that I'll discuss later. And I just realized that the board game review community was great, and there was a lot of information, but it was more for board gamers. Reviewers were doing reviews for people who already knew about board games, and they were kind of using this lingo and making these videos that were really long and not always as engaging as other content on YouTube. And so I thought, you know what? This sounds like a big enough challenge for a man my size. And so I donned a t-shirt and a button-up and sat down in front of a camera and got to work.
Okay. All right, well, before I get into anything else, somebody did ask a question already. So, it says, how much time does it take for you to make one of your reviews from start to finish?
Oh my god. Okay, so the reviews are pretty much the easiest thing I do next to the DLO Explains. So if you don't know my format, it's Tuesdays I post a review. Wednesdays I kind of do an introductory video for newer board gamers. I talk about terminology, genres, types of players, things like that. And then Thursdays, I used to do playthroughs, and there's a reason I don't do those anymore. And so the reviews, it really depends. For easier games like, let's say, No Thanks or Bang, I can usually film it at about one take. So it's probably 20 to 30 minutes of filming. From there, it's about an hour to 2 hours of edits. It depends on how much post I have to do, how many layers of text I have to put up. It depends on the whistle bit that I do at the end. It depends on what kind of inspiration I get for that. Sometimes I play a game and I'm like, you know what, this reminds me of Mario, so I know I'll whistle a song from that at the end. That's sometimes the hardest part, is picking the song that I'm going to whistle at the end. I also write all the music for my own videos, and so if I'm playing a game like No Thanks, there's not a lot to go on as far as inspiration for a song. So you've got to do a lot of work coming up with that. So to answer your question in as few words as possible, I'd say it takes me about 4 hours to shoot, edit, and then do post on a review. So, yeah.
Okay.
Good question, whoever that was.
Katie Eubanks.
Katie Eubanks. She sounds like a fabulous human being.
I'm sure somebody you know.
Yeah, sadly, yeah. Not sadly, but yeah, I know.
No, just from your response. I hope I said that name. I've never seen it spelled that way. So you said you don't do the playthroughs anymore?
No, and the reason is, with the playthroughs, I would try and make sure that the first 5 minutes of the playthrough was extremely game-focused. And then after that, board games tend to get a little dry to watch after that for non-participants. And so what I would do is I would do as much as possible to streamline content, make sure that it was either bizarre occurrences in the game, like rules questions, or really cool examples of a mechanic, and then mostly just my friends joking around. And so I would try and get the big moments of that. When you're shooting on 2 cameras and you're shooting a board game, that's 30 minutes to an hour per camera. So we're looking at anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours of footage that you have to go through, find the optimal shot, cut out all of the nonsense. On top of that, I did a lot of post. Like if you see the Takanoko review or playthrough or the Suro playthrough, that is an exorbitant amount of work in post that I had to do. And so I genuinely put somewhere between 8 and 12 hours of work into Takanoko, and until recently it had 30 views. And so I thought to myself, do I want to do 12 hours of work for 18 views, or do I not? And the answer is I don't. So if people want reviews, that's great. Go comment, like, watch them, force your friends to watch them, and I'll do them again. But until that happens, no, it's too much work.
Yeah, I hear you. I know. It takes me. It's about 10 hours for every hour that goes. But that's including stuff that's not seen on the camera. Like when I do a game, I'll read through. First, I got to decide which game, then I'll read through the rules again, and I'll go online and see what questions are being asked, particularly for that role. And then I recently I started scripting videos for the run through or play the rules video rather.
Yeah.
And I haven't implemented that. None of them have been seen yet, but it will be shortly. And I think that'll save me some time.
Yeah.
And then, like the editing, like you said, that takes forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really interesting because there's this whole spectrum of how much work people put into their videos. And so, like, as great as the One Tar and Tom Vassal are, and I'm not talking any smack about them because their subscriber count talks for their formula, but you can tell they churn out reviews and they focus more on filming than they do on editing. And then there is the watch it played side of things, where it's just like pretty much a television level production. Like you can tell Rodney puts in hours of work scripting and recording and getting the right angle and fixing. Like, dear Lord, he is dedicated.
Yeah.
I ain't got time for that.
Yeah. Well, I think he's one of the best out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got another question here from Brenna Hanley.
Okay, cool.
How do you decide what topic you will discuss in your DLO Explains segment?
That's a really good question. It depends. I try and sometimes set it up with the game that we're going to play in coming weeks. So I did the worker placement video like 2 weeks before we did Manhattan Project. Sometimes it depends on the time I have. Mm-hmm. Like this week, I'm going to be at Dice Tower Con, so I'm going to be out of town. We are not going to have DLO Explains. Last week, we moved, and so, excuse me, the DLO Explains was on hand management games, which is the easiest topic in the world to talk about. Draw cards, put cards down, do stuff. That's what a hand management game is. But I had to have a video because I have a reputation I got to keep. And so, yeah, it really depends on how much time I have, what I'm passionate about. Right now, I'm trying to get one done on trading card games and collectible card games because Marvel Dice Master is coming out, and eventually, you know, they're in the 5th print run.
Yeah.
And then Magic's new core set's coming out, and those are things I'm passionate about. So they're things I want to make videos about. And it also depends on really what is topical. So like right now, worker placement games are huge. Everybody and their mother's making one. Like I'm designing one right now that I'm going to try and pitch to a publisher on Thursday. So I mean, like everybody's making a worker placement game, so I'm going to talk about that. Mm-hmm. So it all depends.
Okay, yeah.
That's a good question, Brenna. Thank you.
Yeah, it is actually. I was actually I've been trying to do a segment similar to that for a couple months now, and I actually filmed one like 3 times. It felt like a lecture to me, so it didn't get aired yet, but I'm going to try with Jen and see if it'll change it. Jen actually has brought a lot to the channel.
Right. Oh man, wives are the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, If it weren't for my wife, I probably wouldn't be doing this because like there's days where I'm like, this is stupid, I want to do it, and she's like, here, I'll film the intro for you, and then it's like, oh well, if you're gonna do it, I guess I care about it now.
Well, usually I ask this first. What have you been playing recently?
So, like I said, I'm gonna be at Dice Tower Con, and one of the things they do on Thursday night, the second night of the convention, is unpublished games get to be demoed, and I've got 3 games that I'm demoing. So I've been playing those because you gotta play test your crap. Paul Peterson of Smash Up, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that and I playtest for Sentinels of the Multiverse, which if you don't know, I really love that game a lot. And they just released new playtesting materials, so I've been trying to cram that in. Lords of Waterdeep is a video we're going to do a review on soon, so we played that. And what else have we played lately? Boss Monster, but I don't want to talk about that because I'm saving that for the review. That's a special kind of treat. And Dominion. Oh my God, we just found Dominion 2 weeks ago. Oh dear Heavenly Father, that game is so good. That is a game I could play every day, all day, forever. So yeah, Dominion.
Yeah, it is a real good. Dominion is. Jen and I just actually played Arctic Scavengers, which is another deck builder.
Oh, cool.
And I think I might like that better than Dominion. There's a little more, interaction with it, a little more decisions to make.
Okay.
But I've only played the base of Dominion, so I don't know what the 300 expansions have in it.
I don't know how he does it, but so there's this set of games that exist that are heavily thematic, but the theme doesn't matter. So Munchkin's a good example of that game. Like, Munchkin's all thematic, but you can put any theme to it. And so Dominion's another one of those games, and it is one of the few games I've played where I'm like, you know what? This game not having such a heavy theme makes it a better game. Because nothing gets in the way. Like, that's my problem with Thunderstone is it's so theme-driven, it gets super clunky. Especially like when you're 7 turns in and nobody can do anything and you're just staring at the dungeon. People who don't play Thunderstone are bewildered right now. And so that's just a clunky game because it's so theme heavy. But Dominion just like is so it's almost too streamlined sometimes because it's almost like there's no player interaction because of the lack of theme. But that's just that's Euro games. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, you were talking about playtesting. I'm actually playtesting a game now for Plaid.
Cool.
How do you? I wasn't anticipating all the work that is involved with it. How do you feel about it?
So, as a playtester, it's great. Playtesting someone else's product is fantastic because it's like, I get to play a game before everybody and I feel special. And then you get to give feedback, and sometimes they utilize that feedback. So I was playtesting Sentinels Tactics, the game that Greater Than Games just kickstarted and got like 300 of its needed $50,000 because Christopher Bedell knows how to kickstart like it's nobody's business. So anyway, when I was playtesting that, it felt really great because I made a suggestion about a character, and then when they did the reprints, they implemented that suggestion, and I felt like God, and yeah. As a game designer, I hate playtesting so much because my games are my little babies. They're my little children, and it's like you're sending them off to school, and the teacher wants to murder them, and all of the things you thought were cute and delightful and playful little treats, no one likes. And the stuff you thought was meaningless, they love. And so you've got to just sit there and kill your favorite mechanic in cold, red-pinned blood. And then you send it back, and they're like, I liked it better that way. And you just, like, make up your mind. Please! So, from a designer standpoint, there's times that it's really frustrating, but there's times that it's really nice, because somebody will be like, hey, you used 40 words here when you could have just said connected. And you're like, oh, yeah, thanks. You just saved me $80 on printing costs. So, that's how I feel about playtesting.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting process. Like I said, Isaac Vega is the one who designed this one. he's trying to make this game perfect for everybody, and there's been quite a few rule changes and stuff like that. So I wasn't expecting that,
And that's one of the hardest things about being a designer in the playtesting phase is you have this point where you have to draw a line in the sand, and you're like, no, this is the game. Maybe this is a taste thing for you. And so you've got to find that line where it's like, this is my game, that's the mechanic, the problem is you don't like it. But sometimes your ego gets in the way and you're like, maybe I did make a stupid decision, but I won't admit it because I'm God in the design world. So that's...
Yeah. With Isaac, I don't think it's that. I think it's he realizes there are some flaws, and he's trying to, he's trying to make this the best game he can, which everybody does,
Or should.
I think he's just struggling with it a little bit on certain aspects of the game. Like I told him when I met him, like, I think it's a great game. I can see where you're going with it. I don't think it's one I'd buy, though, because me and Jen would kill each other. She's just not for us. I'm sure other people would love it, but for us, it's not.
Yeah.
And then I talked to her about it. She vetoed that. She's like, "Nah, we're buying it. We put all this time into it." So, like I said, when I signed up for it, I wanted to see the process of when a designer thought, okay, it's ready to go out to people blindly to play test to the end product,
Yeah.
And it is a pretty interesting process, just to see how they work and all that,
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So, how do you select the game that you're going to review now? Because you don't do the playthrough anymore, but.
So for me, it's limited by budget, and so it's the games that I own and the ones that I convince my playgroup to play through. Because one of the things I'm forcing myself to do with reviews is provide multiple viewpoints, because nobody else is like me. They are a bit like me. They might have tastes similar to me, but they might disagree. And so I need to have as many viewpoints as I have access to, and that's what I do with my videos. That's why there's the pros and cons and final thoughts sections from 4 different or sometimes 5 different people, because that has to be there. When it's just one person's opinion, you get this whole vacuum thing going on, and it's an echo chamber, and that's not beneficial, because then people start to see that as the definition of taste, and that's not how anything works, period. That's why there's so many forms of media. So it's limited by budget and what I can get my game group to play, mostly. What I own currently, if I have a game that's newer that I know people are talking about, like, crap, what did I do recently that everybody was really hot on? Manhattan Project is kind of a newer game, and I had it, so I reviewed it, and that was something that was topical. I mean, like, we're going to do Seven Wonders soon, but everybody and their brothers played that game. Yeah. But it's what I've got, and I got to make content, so there you go.
Yeah, we actually just played that today.
How many? I only have the base game. Do you have any of the expansions?
I have, yes, I have all of them, I think.
Oh, wow.
The cities, the leaders, and then the Wonder Pack.
Okay.
I think that's all.
Do those change the game drastically, or is it subtle?
The leaders one doesn't. That's pretty subtle. I think the city one does a little bit. Yeah, a little bit more than the leaders. It's not like a huge one. I think the city makes it a little more strategic.
Okay.
The leaders not so much. It's it's you got these leaders, and you could you either discard and get coins, or each one has a specific role that you can build on, like one will give you more military strength or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not huge.
Did you see the expansion they released it, or they previewed it, Origins, with the tower?
Yes, I seen it at Origins.
Nice.
Yeah, I was only there for one day, but there was a couple games that I want to see there. I'll get in that after I answer your question, but yeah, it's kind of weird. Like it's just like pie wedges, and
yeah,
it goes around. I don't know if I'd buy that one. just Seven Wonders doesn't get out a whole lot because Jen doesn't like the 2-player version of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's a little complicated to explain to people who aren't used to hobby boards. You know, because I don't think they can get being that there's not a physical representation of the resources and all that. I think people have trouble with that, or at least in my group. You know.
Yeah, I can dig it.
So it doesn't really get out a whole lot. So I don't know if I'd go with another expansion to it or not. Yeah. I'll have to think about it. Yeah. But we'll see. But like I said, I did go to Origins for a day. There's a couple games that I wanted to play. Demo, you know, Dead of Winter was one. I do have that pre-ordered.
Me too.
I'm hoping that'll replace Battlestar Galactica, which never comes out. Yeah.
And see, here's the thing. Like, I didn't watch the TV show Battlestar Galactica, so I was like, oh, Fantasy Flight game. It's going to be great because Fantasy Flight rarely makes bad games, in my opinion. And because they got all the money. And when you have all the money, you make the good products. And so I didn't get it because I haven't watched a lot of Battlestar Galactica. And then I was reading about it. It's like a 4-hour game, and I was like, nope, that's never going to hit the table with my group. If they don't want to play Arkham Horror, they are never going to play Battlestar Galactica. And so I saved myself $60. But I'm getting Dead of Winter because I love narrative games so much. Like, for me, board gaming is about telling a story, and that's literally the core mechanic of the game, is telling the story. But not in the gloom way. Like, you're still rolling dice, and you're still fighting zombies, but there's a story to it. So, that seems nice. Yeah,
it is. I didn't actually demo it. I got a bit back, and I just knew I couldn't sit there without disturbing other people. And I'd have to get up and walk around and all that. You'll see me fidget on this because of that. But I did watch it. Like, I'd come and watch a couple, like one round, then I go away and come back when it's further along in the game and stuff like that. And I think it will do. I think my group will like it. It's much better than Battlestar, in my opinion, for that particular type of game. And like you said, it's got that narrative thing and the crossroad cards. That'll be cool, and you know. So yeah, I think you know I'm anticipating it coming, highly anticipating it, which should be next month. Or, you know, hopefully by the end of this month. Well, this month now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one I wanted to see. You know, demo. Subdivision is another one. Jen likes Suburbia. It's one of her favorite. You know.
Gotcha.
And that's actually the game that did me in. I demoed that before I went to see Dead of Winter, and after I got done that, I knew that was over.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty one.
Gotta say, so Suburbia is one of those games that, like, I haven't played it yet, but every time I see it somewhere, I love it. Like, the aesthetics are so boring. Like, when you look at the game, it looks like a terrible ad for, like, an unbuilt housing division, which is the point. And so they nailed it. But, man, like, the components just look so intriguing. Like, the way the hexagons line up, and it's basically Sim City, the board game. You gotta love that. Like, it's just adorable.
Yeah. It is. There's a lot of bookkeeping in it. Like, you got to keep track of what you're doing, what the players are doing. You know, there's a lot of that. But yeah, I think it's a really good game. And I was surprised, just like you said, the aesthetics suck on it. But yeah, I was surprised it drew me in like that. We're actually talking about getting the expansion. I forget the name of it.
One of them. There's like 6 of them, right? Yeah. Or yeah, Suburbia Inc. It doesn't even come in a box. It's just saran wrapped.
Yeah. So
we're on the budget there.
We're thinking about that. And that's a game I showed a couple people, and her mother caught on to it pretty quick. She had one issue with the one part of it, but my sister caught on to it pretty quick. So it's easy to pick up, but you know, it has a lot of choices to think about.
Yeah, it's that's what I've heard. It lends itself to analysis paralysis pretty heavily. So.
Yeah, that's one of the issues I had with Jen's AP problem with pretty much any But I tried to implement a 30-second rule where if you don't make up your mind after 30 seconds, I smack you in the head, but she won't let me do that.
No. I made a video about analysis paralysis, and one of the people in my game group, they're really AP prone, just because they want to make the optimal choice, and that's the problem with analysis paralysis is when you have so many choices, it's hard to pick the right one. And so one of the suggestions I gave in the video was, hey, if they're stuck, kind of recommend what you notice is the optimal choice. And the person in my group was like, I swear to God, if you ever do that, I will punch your face. Don't tell me what to do. Okay, you win.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty... Jen brought to my attention on after I did the run through of Flashpoint that I've become the alpha gamer in that particular game, not all of them, but that one.
Yeah.
And I never realized it.
Oh man, the problem is when you know the rules to a game so well, and it's cooperative, it feels like you're playing every turn, even though there's other people at the table. So alpha gaming is it's a hard curse to fight off.
Yeah.
Especially in games where the stakes are so high, like Flashpoint or Ghost Stories, where everything wants you to die.
Yeah. We were actually we were playing Freedom, the Underground Railroad.
Nice.
Not the time before. We screwed up the rules. It was like the first 2 times we played, but what we skipped was when you get these the tokens. What the hell do they call them?
I don't know, I haven't played yet. I've heard good things though.
Yeah, it is a good game, but awareness tokens, I think they're called. You're supposed to stop the game and discard all the cards for that particular period and then refill them. So I totally skipped that, and we just kept using the same cards and it just struck the game out. We lost every game on the easy side, and she's like, "Why do you keep buying games that we lose at?"
Yeah, and so it's funny you bring that up because Ghost Stories was like the 5th playthrough and review that I did, and so I'm on my 15th now. So that was decades ago. And on Board Game Geek, somebody told me, "Oh, you said the rules wrong. You need to play through the whole deck, even if you beat the guy." And so I put an annotation in my video. Somebody comments 2 days ago and says, "You're telling the rules wrong. If you kill the big bad Wu Fang, the main ghost, you win." What? I've been playing this game right the whole time and winning, and people have been telling me I'm wrong and losing?
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So that's the problem when your game designer writes the rules in French because Antoine Bozo is French, and then they translate it into English, and they make the mistakes. But
yeah, he's actually one of my favorite designers right now.
Me too.
I haven't gotten Ghost Stories, like I said, because of that whole thing with that's one of the tougher games he made.
That's okay. I don't have Takedo yet, and apparently I'm not a real board gamer because I don't have that game. So.
I don't think I want it.
I want it.
I don't know.
I want it, but for the wrong reasons. I want it, 1, because of Antoine Boza, and I'm one of those people, and 2, because it's a game about taking a walk. And to me, when the theme of a game is take a walk, I think to myself, I'm being healthy. I don't actually have to go for a real walk because I'm playing Takedo, and I'm going to go get a snack in the game, and I'm going to eat a candy bar right here. But my game snack's a bowl of rice. I'm obviously a healthy human being. I win at life. Apparently that doesn't translate, my wife is telling me, but that's too bad. That's how I'm playing the game.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. All right. Some other people asked some questions. Let me ask them. I'm getting a little backed up. I forget about them. Let's see. Which ones did I ask? Okay, one is from Katie Eubanks again.
Okay.
Do you think games based off of popular topics like 50 Shades of Grey, Harry Potter, Twilight, etc., are legitimate games, or do you think they just cloud up the market?
Katie, that's a great question. And I'm going to tell you, some licensed games are good. It's just like video games. Some non-original ideas are great in video game form, like superheroes. Some of the superhero movie video games have been excellent, and there are some board games based off of other properties that are great, like the BioShock Infinite board game. That's pretty good. It's not the best board game I've ever played, but as far as board games based on an earlier property, they're great. And if you're new to board games, but you love video games, that's the perfect transition game. If you're already a hardcore board gamer, just go play Power Grid. Now, the 50 Shades of Grey game. I'm actually going to do a review on that, and the Downton Abbey board game. Those are wastes of time and space. Because here's what happens with those games. The Downton Abbey game is the worst parts of Clue, and Monopoly, and Parcheesi, all crammed into one awful game. It costs $40. $40 because it's got a picture of some fancy PBS actors on it. And that's it. That's all the game has. 50 Shades of Grey is the worst version of Apples to Apples you will ever play. It is horrible. And it's not even that dirty. I'm going to be honest. I've read some dirty things because the internet exists. I've heard bits of 50 Shades of Grey because a friend of mine has started a podcast called Doing It by the Book, and she's reading 50 Shades of Grey. The book's not dirty. The game's not dirty. It's all a lie, and it's a terrible waste of time. So, okay, to answer your question, yes and no. Some of them are good, some of them suck. Good luck finding that out for yourself. And there was a Harry Potter collectible card game that I can tell you was probably bad because Paul Peterson, the guy that designed Smash Up, did it. And I know I've got a vendetta against that guy. My problem with him is he takes these great ideas and he makes crappy games. Sorry if anybody likes Smash Up. I have opinions, and it's my job to express them.
Oh, that's why you're a reviewer.
There we go. I wasn't good enough to be a teacher, so now I'm a reviewer. Actually, I was a great teacher. The problem was the system.
Okay. Okay. The next question is from Jamie Delgado.
Cool.
Do you have any tips for detecting traitors in cooperative board games like in Betrayal of the House of the Hill? This was probably asked when we were talking about BGS, Battlestar Galactica, but I missed it. So here you go.
What was the question again? Repeat it. I'm sorry.
Do you have any tips for detecting traitors in cooperative board games like in Betrayal at the House of the Hill?
Okay, so if you're playing with strangers, no, absolutely not. Just assume everybody's lying to you. If you're playing with your friends, you've got two strategies. Pull on their heartstrings, or assume everyone's lying to you. That's the only way to survive in games where there's a traitor. So, like, one of my favorite traitor-based games is obviously Betrayal at the House on the Hill, because I love narrative stuff and I love scary movies. It's Cabin in the Woods meets Scooby-Doo. Genius. Everybody's trying to kill you in that game. Even when there is no traitor, you have no friends. Secondly, Room 25, everyone's a guard. Period. Everyone's a guard. And if you're a guard, no one's a guard. You kill everyone. So, Jamie, that's the way you detect traitors. You just kill everyone. And if you wind up losing because of it, it's their fault because they were traitors. So there you go. That's how you win. Paranoid schizophrenia with dice. There's a joke. We'll get that in post. It's not live or anything.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat. Jen's always the traitor, no matter what. I suck at being a traitor, so...
Oh my god. The problem is I'm a nice person, and so when I play Cosmic Encounter, I'm like, yeah, go ahead and take my planet. I've got 4 more over here. You can have that one, whatever, I don't care. Like, I'm the worst negotiator in this kind of games. So...
Yeah. We were playing Werewolf Inquisition. Oh, and I was a werewolf. And my sister and Jen were talking to me, and they killed off a werewolf, and I wasn't thinking. I slammed my hand down on the table and said, "Damn it! I killed another werewolf." And then you're like, "Well, we know who the werewolf is now." So,
oh man.
Fortunately, in that game, you can navigate around that in that particular game. Yeah.
Oh, I have so many tells when I'm playing. Like, when I am the traitor, I'm suddenly very quiet, and I'm not making eye contact with anybody. And when I'm not the traitor, I'm staring everybody down. Because I assume they're going to look at the ground like I do. No, everyone's a better liar than me.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Another one I just recently played, Bang the Dice game.
Oh.
For the first time. It's actually one I own, but I haven't had time to play it. But I go up to sorry, I'm still checking all the internet stuff. Anyway, I go up to York, PA, and play with the secret cabalist up there at their beer mongers, and Jamie introduced it to me, and that was a fun game. I was surprised. I died in the first 4 turns, but yeah. Nice.
How do you think it compares to the card game? Because I know a lot of people are live and die by Bang. I mean, it's 10 years old, and they're just churning out new stuff for it. So how do they compare?
I never played the card game. Jamie has, and he was saying he prefers the dice game much better.
All right, cool.
So part of the problem with the card game is sometimes it overstays its welcome. And,
yep.
Where this one, it's like I said, it's over within 10, 15 minutes.
There you go.
I was the deputy, and they killed me off.
Isn't that always the case? I love when you're the sheriff and you target one person. You're like, "That's it. I know you're the renegade." Nope, you just killed your only deputy. Good job.
Yeah, it wasn't even that. There wasn't even enough time to deduce who was who. It's like, I took the arrows did me in. Yeah, it was the arrows. They did me in. Yeah, but it's a fun game. Like I said, I own it. I just never got it. We never had enough people to play it. Jamie also said that it sucks with 3 players. You need at least 5 or 6.
And that's how Bang the card game is. Like, that's the problem with those games. They kind of fill that niche between like standard 4-player game and party game, because they take just less than a good party game, which there's few of those. And they take just more than a standard board game, and so they're really niche, depending on where you're from. They're just really specific games. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would try to get more of them types of games out. Like One Night Ultimate Werewolf, that was a good one. That was a good hit. But again, with less than, I think, 4 players, it's not really that good.
Yeah.
You know,
a werewolf depends on your narrator. Hardcore. Not the One Night Ultimate, but like normal werewolf. If you don't have a good narrator, your game is just dead on arrival.
Yeah, I could never get. I tried regular werewolf once, but the group I was playing was so drunk. One couldn't keep their eyes closed. Yeah.
So you like one of you guys went to sleep and then you died, and one of you is the werewolf. Who is it?
Yeah. Yeah, we had issues with that, so that never made it out again. But part of my problem, my gaming group is, it's usually me and Jen. Every Monday it's me, Jen, and my sister, and then some Fridays it's me, Jen, and my mother-in-law. You know, it's very rare that I get more than 3 people.
Yeah.
You know? So it's harder to bring some of these other games out, you know, which I would like to.
Yeah.
You know.
You got to cater to your audience. Like, there's Wednesday nights when we meet, and we normally do Talking Heads, the pros, cons, final thoughts segments. And there's nights where we just don't record anything because everybody's like, I don't want to play a new game. I don't want to play Carcassonne South Seas. I want to play Dominion because I had a hard week. I've been teaching all day. I'm tired. I just want to put down some kingdoms, slap down some gold, and buy a province already. And so you don't really play the games you want. And it sucks, especially if you're the game group organizer, because you have expectations. You have wants. And it's kind of dependent on everybody else. But, you know, it's all about being with friends. So if you got that, that's all that matters.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm pretty much the evangelicist in my section here, you know. And it's surprising me how much it brought my family closer, you know.
Yeah. Some of my best memories, my grandfather passed last year, and some of my more fond memories are just from the last couple of years, like playing Ticket to Ride with him and my grandma, and like we'd always played Rummy. Like that was it, because I lived with my grandparents for most of my life, and they were old, and so Rummy was it. And I brought Ticket to Ride over, and my grandpa, He was a traffic engineer, and so he was like, oh, okay, I can play this game. You're just making routes on a map? Okay, I got this. And he loved every second of it. And so that's just great. And my grandma, like every time I call her, she's like, when are you coming over with the train game? Bring the trains. And so, yeah, it's really weird how board games, in my mind as a child, made me hate my family because it was all Monopoly and Sorry and Twister. And those are games that make you hate your family real quick. But nowadays, like, I think about these really strong, powerful moments in like Euro games or designer board games. It's nice. It's very refreshing.
Yeah, it is. Well, Jen calls me a board game snob because I don't play mass-produced ones anymore. Very rarely.
That's like when you get your first designer beer. You're not drinking Bud Light anymore. You're done.
Yeah. She's also she calls herself a board game widow. Because, well, you know how much time goes into the videos and all that, and I never really watch a lot of TV ever. So if I'm not playing the board games or doing the videos, I'm on the internet looking into them, stuff like that. So yeah, she's widowed the board games.
Oh man. Yeah, very cool. So, any other burning questions?
Well, yeah. When you started it, what possessed you to try and do the reviews and the playthroughs, and then? All
right. Do you want my origin story then? Okay. There's a lack of radioactive spiders, and I apologize for that. But I was a teacher. I taught elementary school, and I loved my job. I started out as a musician, and then halfway through that, I realized that I hated playing tuba, and so I went into education. And I got my degree, and I was one of the few men in elementary education. And I don't believe in sexism, so when people were like, "Oh, they need good, strong men like you in the classroom," I was like, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Those people did. I was wrong, and I'll willingly admit that. So I got thrown into a kindergarten classroom, and I loved it. Teaching kindergarten was awesome because when you can go into a room full of people who have just learned to stop peeing on themselves and sometimes forget how to do that, and you just watch them learn, and they genuinely give a crap about you, because you reach a point in being an evolving human being where people stop caring as much about you as they used to. These kids love you. Like, hey, Mr. Lott's not here. Where is the sun? Why is the world dark and grim? So that was really powerful for me. And they put me in 5th grade. And in Florida, which is where I live and do my life thing, there's this thing called the FCAT. It's a standardized test. Every state has one. Everyone has complained about it and bemoaned them for good reason. So I went from teaching kindergarten, which is solely about interacting with these growing human beings and teaching and getting them inspired about soaking in knowledge. And I went to 5th grade. And one of the things that we focus on in 5th grade, because there's a test on it, is science. And I love science. And my students knew more about science than most high schoolers did. And I was told in my 2nd year of teaching 5th grade, I was pulled into my principal's office during an evaluation, and I was asked why I didn't say a specific phrase, because on our wall we had to put this question that's a script given to us by the county. And they said, why didn't you say your learning essential question? I said, because I was in the middle of a teachable moment. We were talking about how light is both matter and energy, how it's both intangible and tangible, and my students were getting it, and I'm not going to let them get away from that. I'm not going to stop giving them one of the greatest lessons that's blowing their mind right now so I can show you that I can read a piece of paper. I got into this for the kids. My job is to make the world a better place through them. And they looked me in the face and said, no, your job's to get FCAT scores. And so I said, oh, okay. And I talked to my wife, and my wife said, you need to quit. You need to do something else. And I had been experimenting with board game designs at that time. I'm looking at my chart right now, and I've got 9 different games that I'm designing. And they were all in the concept phase. And she was like, you need to make this a real thing. And so we saved up some money, and I quit my job. And the minute I quit, I called Christopher Bedell at Greater Than Games, and I was like, hey, you used to be a teacher, and you quit to do board game stuff. Oh my god, I'm freaking out. What do I do? And he told me what I needed to do if I wanted to have a successful Kickstarter. And one of the things you have to do is have people who know who you are. And I was watching a Tom Vassell video, and I was like, oh my god, this is the most boring thing I've ever watched in my life. And it's 20 minutes long. It's 20 minutes. 20 minutes? He's just talking about freaking, I don't even remember, I think it was Seven Wonders. It's like he's just talking about Seven Wonders. How is this a 20-minute video? And I realized he was going over every single nuanced rule and every single card. And that is good to a point. Now I realized we're losing people to the hobby because people are going to see this product in the store and they're going to showroom it. They're going to go online and look it up. And the internet is those kindergartners I taught in that they have short attention spans and they need quick, shiny, funny. And so I realized nobody was making the quick, shiny, funny videos. Or if they were, they didn't have enough meat to them. Like, the One Tar is great at giving these flash impressions of her opinion of the game. They're just these kind of instantaneous videos that vaguely talk about the game. And so I realized there needed to be two videos. There needed to be one that was that instantaneous, like, here's what the game is, here's how it plays, here's what it looks like, here's what a couple people think about it. Then, if people are really interested, that's what the playthrough's for. They can see a more nuanced version of the game. Most people know within 5 minutes if they want something or not. Why drag it out for 15 more than that? You know?
Yeah.
So that's why I got into it. Long story, long.
Nah, I was just wondering what possessed you to do so much. You know. I don't think a lot of people realize what goes into the videos when you put them out. How much time and all that. You know. They just think you run through you play a game and put it up. You know, I don't think people understand all the background stuff.
No. I was watching your Phantom of the Opera video the other day, and you put every card up and you spotlighted and you focused on the iconography and you went into detail and you took time to edit this. And you obviously had to take photographs and layer photos and put image effects and filters. And I could tell, I was like, that's 5 hours work right there. That's 10 minutes of video, that's 5 hours work. Yeah. That's beautiful. And so, but the viewer doesn't get that. They just want their feedback. And that's great because they're a pivotal part of the process. And when they think it's easy, that means you're doing your job right.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I knew them graphics were gonna bite me in the ass, but that was the first one I started them on, and you gotta get in your groove, and I'm still working on that. You know, it's I know my channel in particular is not for everybody. I'm pretty laid back, pretty nonchalant, and it bores people, and I get that, but.
And at least you can admit that, though. At least you know these are the people I'm making a product for, and you're not trying to cater to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, some people want things 5 minutes or less, and people who watch my channel are looking to watch. They're going to sit there for an hour or whatever the whole thing is. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons like I said, you're new to this, and I think anybody who brings something to the hobby is great. Like the one Tar you were talking about, her, when I started in the hobby, there weren't any women reviewers. Lately there has been her and Kenner from the Dragon Table, and
Starlit Citadels is doing a lot of good stuff.
Right. Yes. And board game nights, the Australian people they have.
Yeah. Sometimes, occasionally, she's there.
Yeah. So there, the hobby is expanding, but like I said, anybody who brings something to the hobby is, it's a good thing to me. So, but yeah, that's what I was getting at. What possessed you to do all this, in a week?
Yeah.
Like when I started, I was actually doing one a week, and then right before Christmas, I sat down and I wanted. Figure out where I wanted to go with the channel and all that.
Yeah.
And I just decided 1 week's not enough time for me. You know, the videos were suffering. You know, so that's why I went to 2 weeks, and that's why you're here now, because I had to fill in the other week.
Well, and for me, the reason I do so much content is I realized that, again, the audience that I'm going for has an attention span, not necessarily an attention span, but knows what they want, and they want it quickly, and they also want a lot of it. And so the audience I'm going for is exceptionally demanding. And I mean, I'd like to be like the John Tron of of board games, and that's probably not going to happen because I don't have a robot parrot that talks. But I mean, I'd like to try, and to do that, I need to have a lot of content. And I mean, I looked today; I don't even know how many videos I have. And I saw today I have 40 videos and only 50 subscribers. And the one thing I told myself was, you always have more subscribers than you do videos. Not happening. It is. I'm losing. I'm losing the race. So, but I do have 50 subscribers, and if you're one of them watching, thank you so much, because you're the reason I get up at 5 a.m. every morning to walk my dog, put on a cup of coffee, and cut and splice, and cut out every single breath I make in a video. In fact, there is 3 hours of footage of me breathing somewhere in my hard drive, because every breath I take, I cut it out, just so that I can keep it quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the subscribers and all come. I mean, they're not going to be instantaneously.
No.
It took for me to break. It took for me forever to break like 50, and then it jumped pretty quickly. You know, from that, and then it's jumping now. You know, and you'll lose them and you'll gain them and stuff like that. But, you know, it'll come. Right now, I'm in the position where people started asking me about doing something for their Kickstarter, and I don't know how I feel about that yet. You know, like, there's games I have in my collection that I didn't do one of these for because they're unavailable, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to start with the whole Kickstarter thing because it's not guaranteed they'll become, you know, go into production and all that.
Yeah.
So I got to sit down and think about what I'm going to do with that. Not only that, I don't think of myself as a reviewer, you know. Like the One Tar Hunter and them, they're a reviewer. I don't, you know, I say what I think about the game, but, you know, I don't give it a rating or anything. You know, I don't see myself as a reviewer. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, if I don't like a game, I will not do one of these videos. I just will not put the time into it. You know.
Well, and see, that's kind of the other place that I find myself in. I don't want to do a Boss Monster review. I don't. The game is awful. It is not a board game. It is an exercise in frustration and impatience, and it's what happens when people who have a great idea in theme try and implement it in a game, and they don't know what they're doing. And they create this unbalanced, asymmetrical mess. And I mean, asymmetry in games, that's fine. Imbalance in games, that's fine. Magic the Gathering and every other game that has secret powers thrives on it. Boss Monster somehow took one of the most basic concepts and screwed it up. And Smash Up did the same thing, but Boss Monster is more popular right now. And so, if I want people to know who I am, so when I go to Kickstarter, my games, you know, don't make me sad and they get published, I have to do that. And I'm terrified of the day that I have to publish the Downton Abbey review, because I know it's going to get 300, 400, 500 views because it's got the words Downton Abbey in it, and I'm going to get 1 million comments probably. I don't know how that's possible with only 500 views, but it is. And half of them are going to say, how dare you talk snap about the Abernathy who gives a crap at tins of Westchestertonville, England, and the other half are going to be like, yeah, Downton Abbey sucks. And they're not going to care about the game. They don't care. I didn't bring anybody into the hobby. But I got the views. So it's a weird place to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that formula out myself. Like, right now I'll do one of something more popular on, like, BBG, and then I'll do a couple that older ones, and then, you know, I'm still trying to figure that out. Because, like, Eldritch Horror shot my subscribers up a good bit.
Oh, God. I want to play that game so bad.
And that was one of the hardest ones I've ever did. When I was done with, I put the game away. I didn't touch it in 3 months. I went to beat my head against the wall after that one. That was just one of the hardest.
Yep.
Just because of the length and the rules, they're complex and all that. And I had to do it a couple times because of audio issues, which is one of the veins of my existence.
Yeah. That's...
But like I said, it shot up a good bit there. And then I did Lewis and Clark. I thought it would happen there, and it didn't.
Nobody wants to play a historical game anymore.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird to figure out. 1775 brought them up, and I didn't think that one would, because it's been out a while, but it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. Like I said, I don't really pay attention too much to the numbers.
Yeah, it's a bad habit I have.
Yeah, well, some people are, yeah. But I will go back and see what types of games are being viewed, that way I know to eliminate certain types of games.
Yeah. Here's what I find really interesting. So I posted a video about Munchkin because, it's a game. And I got 120-something views in about 2 weeks. Not a single comment. I posted a video about Sentinels of the Multiverse, like this extremely niche video about 5 characters in the game, and I'm doing a whole series on it. I get 100 views in 2 days, 7 comments. And I'm like, are you what? Munchkin has millions sold. They're making Munchkin Love Letter. There's Pathfinder Munchkin. There's every god darn form of Munchkin in the universe exists. And they're just polluting the earth. But anyway, I do a review about Sentinels, talk about a couple heroes. Everybody wants a piece of it. And it's just so crazy. And I think I'm just going to do specific videos all the time now. I'm going to do my top 5 favorite cards in Seven Wonders next week, I think. It's the way to go. Top 5 favorite objectives in Lords of Waterdeep coming down the pipes.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's weird. My most viewed ones was Eldritch. That was number 2. Number 1 was surprised me was Letters from Whitechapel. In the series, and that surprised me. Letters from Whitechapel, because that's an older game. It was out of print actually. Right after I did the video, it went out of print for a while. I think it's back now, but yeah, right after I did the video.
That's why I waited so long to do Betrayal. That's still coming down the pipes because I had the 2nd edition, and they didn't do a print run for a long time. And I really hope they fixed my biggest complaint in that game when they reprinted it. So, but I don't know if they did or not.
Yeah, from what I hear, I have one of the older prints, but from what I hear, I don't think they did. I don't think they changed the rules or anything.
I don't have a problem with the rules. Now, I mean, like, the rule book's terrible. It's an FAQ. That's some rule books work like that, like card games. I think the rule book works great with an FAQ. If you got a real board game, you don't need to put it in the form of questions. Just tell me what to do, please. Just tell me what the tiles are and why they matter. My problem isn't the amount of text in that game. My problem is the plastic clips that are supposed to go on your character thing just slip and slide off. I played a game. I hadn't even started yet. Put my person at their starting stats, put my marker down, they died. Suddenly, everything's a skull. We just died in the first 30 seconds. Didn't even get to explore a room. Now, the rules tell me that's not possible, but the clips told me a very different story. So I was a little peeved about that because I'm sorry, I just dropped $55 for your game, and you're gonna give me some poorly painted minis and some crappy clips that don't even stay on the frickin' cardboard. We have a problem. Wizards of the Coast, one of the biggest fucking Hasbro subsidiaries. Excuse my language. One of the biggest frickin' Hasbro subsidiaries in the world, and you're gonna make a game that doesn't have proper components. We have a problem. But then again, this is the same company that made an Avengers Marvel dice game. Everybody loves dice. Everybody loves Marvel. And they didn't anticipate this many people ordering it. They're in the 4th print run, and it's still not in stores yet? I do not know who is in charge of things over there. Boy, they need to get their head out of their tuchus. especially because board games are on the uprise from the Will Wheaton. Thank you, Tabletop. And Marvel's on the uprise from the Disney. Thank you, Mickey Mouse. You better have your product in order. That's just a simple fact. Especially if it's going to be a collectible card game format and people are going to throw money at it like it's nobody's business. You need to have 1,000 million units. I know that's a billion. I'll say numbers how I please. You need to have 1 billion units in your first print run, period. Because every one of them is going to get bought.
Yeah, that is a bit of a fiasco with that. I don't, some people say it's a marketing ploy. I don't think it is. I don't think they would deliberately hurt themselves like that.
I don't know. There is no way a company that is that big of a marketing segment or sector and that had an intellectual property. Katie, back to your original comment, the first question about intellectual properties being put in board games. Marvel Dice Master, perfect example of a decent game made from an original property. Moving on, though. There is no way, and Christopher Bedell was talking about this on the Board Rumors, there is no way they didn't know. Marvel is so hot right now, you can put Avengers in the title of your video about kittens, and it's going to get 1 million views. Now, granted, that video has kittens, so it's going to get 1 million views anyway, but Avengers is hot right now. And it's a board game, which Will Wheaton is just driving the board game train all the way to hell. It's going to get money. It's going to get buys. It's going to get popular. You need to have a huge print run. And if you don't sell them all, advertise. That's what you have an advertising department for. You can afford one, Wizards of the Coast. Plaid Hat Games, not so much.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any excuse. I don't think it's a marketing ploy. I just think it was somebody dropped the ball. And it was dumb.
Yeah, I see that. Another company does that quite often. But okay, we got a question from Jamie Delgado again.
Okay.
What kind of games are you currently designing?
Oh, that's a good question. I have a tabletop RPG that I've been working on for a long time. That's the hardest one to design because you basically have to write 3 novels that are the rule books, and that takes time. I don't know how Stephen King can churn them out, but I sure as heck can't. And that one's been in the beta phase for a while. So I conceptualize my games, then I go into alpha, then I go into editing. So everybody looks at alpha and they're like, this is stupid, you misspelled they, or this is stupid, you put 2 commas with no words in between them next to a period. And that's why we edit. And so it's been in beta for a while. I have a worker placement game called Aule, which is a coffee shop-based worker placement game. It's a spin on it. I'm not going to tell you how, because somebody is watching and they will steal my ideas. I'm on to you, NSA. I know about your board game division. So that one's actually ready to be published. I just have to either go on Kickstarter or find a publisher. Transcendence is a really cool superhero-themed board/card game I'm working on. I've got it's a million ideas in one, but I have the whole story arc set up. So the base game, which would be 8 different characters, 1 major map, several objectives, is ready to go. And I have all of the expansions already planned. Yes, I stole a lot of that from the Sentinels marketing idea, but when something's broken, or not broken, you don't fix it. I just made it a little better because it's a different game. It's slightly different. Nothing's better than Sentinels, but it's as close as I can get. There's another game I've made. It's a party game. I hate party games so much because party games are the crappy romance novels of the board gaming world. There are good romance novels out there. And if you want to know about them, you should listen to my friend's podcast, Doing It by the Book. You are welcome, Jane Austen. Anyway, there are good romance novels, but there are so many crappy ones that just have a shirtless Viking. Party games are those. Apples to Apples is not a good game, especially if your friends are boring. And let's be honest, if you've got to have a board game to have conversation, your friends are boring. Dixit's a good party game, but that's a diamond in the rough. So Rule of Cool's a party game where you're a marketing executive and you have a product, but everything's already been done. So you're trying to make it cool. So you'll play these cards called coolifiers on them because, you know, that's just stupid sounding and it sounds fun. So let's say you had ninjas. You could do anything you wanted to make it cool. So it could be ninjas in space and everything's a kaiju and there's an overwhelming score. But you also discard the cards so they're two-sided. half the card is what you would enhance your card with, and the other half is, when you discard it, how the world is reacting so that these events unfolding. Some of them are like, there's a scientific discovery, so that makes robots and dinosaurs cooler. Or one of them is, there's a horrible national tragedy, so that means superheroes and classic cartoons become more popular because when we are in a time of heartache, we go into our childhood and we go towards the undenounceable good. So that's what I'm working on. Coma Ward is a working title for a game I've got that's similar in vein to Betrayal at House on the Hill. The whole setup is you and your friends, or whomever you're playing with, are patients who've been in a long-term care ward who just woke up with amnesia, and the hospital's abandoned. And so you're exploring the hospital, and the order you find certain cards in determines what the cause is. So maybe it's ghosts. Maybe you're all in purgatory. Maybe you're all part of a government brainwashing experiment, and someone might be betraying you, or you might all have to work together, or maybe one of you is a figment of someone else's imagination. And so that's more of me as a writer, but it's going to be fun. Oh my god, I still have 4 more games to talk about? Jesus Christ. Okay, Beneficium is a talisman-inspired racing game where you're novice wizards who have these decks of cards that are single Latin phrases, like Equus, or Gladius, or Adoro, which is fire, Equus is horse, Gladius is sword. And on your turn, you'll play 2 of them, and they combine to make different spells. So if you play Adoro and Gladius, you'll get a fire sword. And so whenever your character passes someone else, you slice them with your fire sword. Or if you play Equus and Adoro, you'll get a flaming horse. So you move further, and every tile you pass is lit on fire. That game is insane chaos. It is pure insanity. And that's going to be in the beta phase for a while, because there's a lot of pieces. I have a game that's inspired a little bit by Castlevania. It's a competitive game where it's sort of a deck builder. You have a character who has a special ability. You're going around and revealing these rooms that either have traps or monsters, and you need to meet certain criteria to beat them. When you do, you get experience that you can spend to upgrade your deck. And so you can either trick the people that are trying to kill you into these rooms where you know a horrible trap is and they don't, or you can just run around killing everybody. So there's fun ways for everybody to win. I'm working on a worker placement game. This was actually my wife's idea. She's still a teacher, and she wanted a fun way to teach the initial American colonization when you had like Jamestown working with the Native Americans. And so it's a pseudo worker placement card drafting game where you're trying to get resources and you have to entice the Native Americans to work with you, and those cards will get you better resources at a slower pace, but they'll have less waste. So it's going to be an interesting way to work with that. And the last game I am going to get a lot of flack for mentioning, I had originally, before the official Wizards of the Coast one was released, started working on an asymmetrical card game where one player was a villain and 3 other players had a different deck. And they were trying to use their specific abilities to thwart this villain. Now the theme was My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, whatever. Obviously they released a card game for that. It's not as good as I had hoped, because My Little Pony is a very powerful property right now. It's a very popular idea right now, and there's a lot in it. It's a good narrative tool. It's got a lot of interesting designs. Like there's monsters and dragons, but there's also cute ponies, and so you have every stereotypical gender you could want able to be attracted to that. And they made this terrible card game. It's just not fun. And I love card games, and it's just sucky. And so I redesigned that, and it's going to be a kind of, not worker play, I don't even know how to explain. I guess I'll just make up a word, like shuffle building. Thanks, Smash Up. It's a worker drafting placement builder game. And that's what I'm working on right now. There you go. Those are the games I'm designing.
So you're not busy at all, is what you're saying?
No, not at all. I have that chart behind my computer, and then the chart of videos I'm making over there, and at 5 a.m., that's what wakes me up in the morning. Not my coffee. That's just sheer adrenaline from terror.
Wow, you playing yours way better than I did. I just had a question. Oh, well, being you were a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't know if it's because you said they were just looking for the test scores, but do you think board games are a good teaching tool? Like, there are some Academy games does a lot, you know.
I absolutely do. In fact, sometimes I would just design games for my kids. Like, I wanted to bring zombie dice in the classroom, but I was teaching kindergarten, so I had to make mice dice, which they liked. They're really interesting in what they can bring to the kids. Like, my kids loved Dixit because everything was reading, and it was, here's the main idea, here's the detail, here's the genre, and everything was this objective fact. And so Dixit was a game about subjectivity. This was a game where there were no right or wrong answers. And that's kind of the cornerstone of the postmodern era, which, until they make up a name for what we're in now, we're still in that. So that's mildly important. Forbidden Island was a game my kids were dumbfounded by because they were like, what do you mean we're working together? Who's the banker? What happens if I roll the doubles? There are no doubles. You're working together or you all die. What? And so they were working together, and you had these kids who had never said a word suddenly like, we need to get the air statue to the weird tornado garden or we're all going to die. And so it was so interesting that here are these concepts that are pivotal for life, and you need much more than your ability to interpret the genre of an article. And I was able to teach these crazy, subjective, non-linear ideas in 30 minutes on a Friday that the school board would never let me teach in my 90-minute reading block that I had to teach. Yeah. And so, yeah, board games should be in the classroom, even if it's just as an incentive. Because let's face it, not every kid wants to go outside and throw a football. Some of them want to stay inside and play some Yahtzee, and they're learning. They're learning about probability. They're learning about chance. They're learning about taking risks in an environment where, yeah, you're penalized because you don't win, but you're not penalized because you don't die. So we need to teach kids that. They need to learn to weigh risks, and they need to learn to evaluate a situation. They need to learn probability. They need to learn to read in an environment where someone's not cramming their nose in a book, which, by the way, why do we still have those in the classroom when they made the Kindle 5 frickin' years ago? But yeah, and kids play video games so much, and that's great. Video games develop hand-eye coordination. They teach some form of socialization. Xbox Live's version is not the one I would like to see worldwide, but it exists. These are real components kids are interacting with, feeling the weight of them, understanding if I bend this too hard, I break it, or this thing I can drop. And so they learn how to interact with the physical world. And I love me some video games. In fact, I'm replaying the original Zelda right now, but I can't use that in the classroom because it doesn't teach a finite concept that I can express in words. And I know somebody's going to be like, well, it teaches exploration and problem solving. Right, to an individual. Board games teach that to everyone at the table and everyone watching. And it's about coming together. Video games tend to be, now that's not the case as much anymore, but they tend to be an independent experience about the individual. I'm going to shoot that guy in the head, or I'm going to push that rock over there so my short-wearing lady can take her 2 guns into the crypt. Board games are, how do I best you? How do I use these environments to interact with you? How do we beat Citizen Dawn? That's what it's about. And that's why I love board games. And that's why they're great in the classroom. Because classrooms should be a family. They should be a place where kids are safe and loved and learning. And board games do that. They bring people together. They're a controlled environment. And they teach you something. So yeah, I think they should be in the classroom. And every game teaches something. Except 50 Shades of Grey. That just teaches you how to out your friends.
Yeah, I can see your point there. I was actually thinking about the society. Like I told you, I came from the shore. I have a campground. I'm in a campground down there, and everybody waves hello to everybody down there and all that.
Yeah.
But I grew up in Philly, and if you talk to people there, they might shoot. You know?
Make a mean sandwich, but they also make a mean fist.
Yeah, they might. The city of brother. Never mind. Anyway, yeah, they might shoot you, and society, in my opinion, society today is just very detached from people. You know, they're all on the video games, or even if they're on there, like you said with the Xbox. My nephew does this, cursing at somebody. He's not really talking to them. He's just, you know.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I love board games. You know, it brings people. It makes you interact with people, even if they're Euro games where it's solitaire. But, you know,
what do you mean? I'm only interacting with you for 5 minutes during a game of Power Grid.
But yeah, it's in my opinion, you know, society's not so well with that interaction anymore.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what you said about Forbidden Island surprised me. I figured kids would be better at co-op games than adults because they tend to share better than adults. You know?
They are great at them because none of them want to lose. They feel the stakes better than we do. Like, instead of just saying, like, oh, let me flip that tile over, they're like, guys, we're going to drown. We're all going to drown and die. We have to do this. So, yeah.
I don't want to, it's getting late. You know, it's just 9:45 right now. I won't keep you too long. So, usually I'll ask the person I'm interviewing what advice they would give to somebody getting into the hobby. Yeah.
I would say don't listen to reviewers until you've bought your first game. Go to the store, go to your comic book shop, go to your game store, go to Amazon. Look at the games. Just look at them. Read the back of the box. Get overwhelmed by it. And if you still want to buy one, this is the hobby for you. And you need to just buy a game. I mean, I could give you a list of 20 games right now that everybody should have on their game shelf, but I'm not, you know, Sam Healy of the Dice Tower. I don't got top 10s. So just buy a game. Play it. Play it with people. Talk about it. Say what you liked. Say what you didn't like. Then go find a review. Then go to Board Game Geek. And if you can spend time for 5 minutes on Board Game Geek, one of the most overwhelming websites in the history of the world, if you can look at that for 5 minutes and you still want to play board games, you're hooked. If you can't, you're going to be a sometimer, and that's fine. They make games for sometimers. Zombie Dice, Munchkin, Smash Up. They're out there for you. But if you're really hooked, there is no advice for you. My advice for you is don't buy more than 2 board games a month, or your wife's going to get mad at you. Because, you know, you can't take her out to dinner or whatever. But that's it. But that's just financial responsibility. That's fiscal logic. And if you don't have that, you shouldn't be having any hobbies, period. Except working and sleeping, because you're just going to spend all your money. So, yeah, that would be my advice. Go buy a game, any game, that you think looks good. Play it and see if it's as good as you thought it was going to be. See if it met your expectations. And if it did not meet your expectations, go find a game that will. And if it did, find another game like it. Build a collection. And have a game group. Oh my God. Have a game group. Do not own every game. That's too much pressure on you. You have your friends buy a Dominion expansion. You have your friends buy something else. You don't need to own every game. Okay? It's not your job. You own the games you want to own. You let them worry about the crappy ones.
That's good advice.
You know, I mean, I think I said every point of advice I could possibly give. I have a problem with talking too much.
Yeah. All right, now somebody getting into this video stuff. What would you suggest to them?
Okay. All right, so if you're going to start videos and you're going to do reviews, plan. Some people don't plan. And when I say plan, I don't mean script and plot out sketches and word for word what you're going to do. What I mean is plan your general format. Have an idea of how you want to do it. And the only way to do that is to watch. If you're a musician, you know the only way to really learn to play something is to listen to it 1,000 times until it's ingrained in your subconscious. You have to watch all of the board game reviews. if you're going to do this. You've got to see what moments you like, what moments make you smile. You're going to need to see what moments make you grate your teeth. And you're going to have to figure out exactly what it is they're doing that you like and what they're doing that you do not like. And you do as much of the likable stuff as you can. Because you're not making these videos for the internet. I mean, I am, but that's because I'm a sellout. If you're doing this for you, you make what you want to see. Secondly, your videos are going to suck forever. They're never going to be good enough for you. They're never going to be good enough for everybody else. And they're going to be dreadful and like legitimately awful for about a month. Until you make your 10th, 20th video, whenever that is, you're not going to know what you're doing. It takes 10,000 hours to make an expert. So here's what you do. You make your crappy first 10 videos. You watch how they get progressively better. And when your 11th comes along, guess what? It's still going to suck. It's just going to be a bearable level of sucking. Are you going to get better equipment? Yes. This is my full-time job right now. So do I have a high-quality camera? Yeah. Do I have 2 cameras? Yes. It's my job. Is my audio quality good? Damn right, because I am a sound person. Because this is my job. If it's just your hobby, if this is just something you're doing for kicks and giggles, so what if it looks like crap? You don't need to spend 30 hours in post trying to make a graphic of a cardinal wearing a crown with a scepter. By the way, if you don't know how to use Photoshop, it ain't intuitive. So do what you want to do and do what you can do. You'll learn. Oh my God, you will learn things you didn't know. And if you don't figure them out along the way, somebody else made a YouTube video showing you how. So find that. Watch videos about reviews. So to summarize, watch videos, all the reviews. All of the reviews. Make a list of what you like and what you hate. Watch all of the editing videos related to whatever software you have. If you don't have a software video, there are not ways to find them online for free. Do not go find them on a pirating website. That is illegal. Then just research. Research. Don't make anything until you finally say, I'm sick of researching. I'm going to do this on my own. Then struggle through your first crappy videos. We all have them. Even the guy who does game theory for video games, oh my God, watch his first videos. You will laugh. And then watch his new stuff, and you'll be impressed. We all suck. We all learn. It happens. And then once you reach that point where your videos only suck a minimal level, and you know it's just you hating on them, keep doing whatever you're doing. When you're bored, change it up. When you're overwhelmed, change it up. Don't stop. If you can't keep progressing, don't do this. So that's my advice. Research, deal with the sucking, and keep going. Keep evolving.
That's good advice. Only thing I'd have to add to that is be patient.
Oh, dear Lord. Yeah. That's a fun lesson you learn on your own. When your your film editing software crashes the 3rd time you didn't save, and you just slam your hand into your old desk and you buy a new one. Yeah, that's a lesson you learn.
Yeah, autosave is your friend. Is there anything you want to hit on?
Not really. I do want to say this. If you're watching this video, thank you, because you've made it to the hardest part of anything to get to, the end. And thank you for watching. And if you're not subscribed to Mr. Reynolds' channel, you need to do that right now. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, I don't care, because I'm not about views. Please subscribe. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good. Well, I shouldn't say it's a given. I do thank people a lot. So before I let you go, what do you got coming up with DLO there?
Next week is Dixit. The review goes live. And I'm also at Dice Tower Con this week. So I'm going to be behind. I'm going to try and get some interviews. I'm going to try and get some footage there. Hopefully I can get Richard Lanius to the side and pick his brain about everything he's ever made, which is everything awesome, including an expansion for Sentinels. So I'm just going to tell him how much I love the cards he made for that, probably for 20 minutes, and he'll hate me, and that's whatever. I don't care. I got to talk to him. So we're going to try and do that. I'm going to be with my friend Jacob, who he is just another good voice to have. I want to have as many voices as I can on the show. So hopefully in the coming weeks we'll have a couple more videos with some other voices. And maybe if I get a couple comments and requests, we'll do a playthrough. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, Dixit's coming down the pipeline. Masquerade's coming soon after that. Boss Monster is coming. 50 Shades of Grey and Downton Abbey are on the way. So yeah, that's what we got going on right now.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'll let you go. It's getting late. I do want to talk to you about something off camera. So
Okay, sure.
after I end it, I'll keep on there. So that's pretty much it. I'm Barry Reynolds. This is Danny Lott. Thanks for watching. I guess I don't know how to end these. I never figured that one out yet.
They probably stopped watching by now.
Yeah.
Go eat a sandwich and hug your loved ones.
So, if you enjoy Danny, what you saw here, go subscribe to him. All the social stuff. Click, tweet, whatever. All right, folks. Good night. Thanks for watching.